See what's cracking. A pie, a
This is
pie.
my Gabians and my Rolling with Jones crew
My venue to goers.
and venue to goers.
For sure. All right, cool.
All right, cool. So I'm about to
I need to I know
I know what I'm gonna do.
Give me 1 second.
1 second.
I know what to do now.
Oh man, you blacked out your thing. That's pretty cool.
What you mean? Black that what?
I think I haven't been in that meeting space.
In my office?
Yeah.
Yeah. Black that the whole job.
Like a studio.
Yeah.
Y'all know he used to be an artist, right? Way back when.
One point, I'm like, all right, cool. We're about to hit record on here. We're about to hit record.
I don't know if I like this angle for me.
There you go.
Recording in progress.
Recording.
If you already know what time it is, it's
Hold on. Okay, let's revamp that. Okay. I needed a better angle for YouTube.
Okay, YouTube. Oh, I see. That's a dope angle.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
That's fire.
Make sure.
Okay, cool.
All right, pause. Okay, never mind.
All right, cool.
We're on
once again, I want to say, we're live right now.
Okay.
So once again, I want to say thank you for definitely joining Behind the Business. You are rolling with Jones, and we have no better other than this Gabs, aka Press Play Jones.
Hey.
It's a long time overdue for this conversation. For sure.
I know. It definitely is an overdue conversation. So I'm excited that we're able to come together and make it happen tonight.
For sure. And there's going to be a lot more of these coming up because I think this conversation is definitely going to unravel to a lot of interesting topics. So for anybody that's listening, you should be entertained. You should get educated. So one thing we was definitely talking about earlier, what was it? Yesterday, something like that.
Mhm.
Talking about herself, and for the ones that don't know who that is, she is the founder and CEO of Slutty Vegan, and she was on Earn Your Leisure, and she was being interviewed by them about her becoming the CEO for the second time. What does that mean? What does that mean, Tanya? What does that mean?
Oh well, apparently she did very well, very successful for a number of years, and like most businesses, hit a wall. And from her interview, apparently she lost her business after getting a huge investment from some billionaires. One of them that I know, and I think they gave her 25 million, which gave her a valuation of 100 million. And her plan apparently was to grow rapidly and go from 0 to 100 real quick.
Real.
No pun intended. So, and not to say it couldn't happen, but sometimes you gotta grow a little slower, especially the restaurant industry is very hard. Me coming from the restaurant industry, knowing it firsthand and hitting similar snags that she hit, but not on that massive scale. So basically, she became a CEO again. She had acquired a lot of debt, and in order to rid herself of some of this debt, apparently she didn't want to use the word bankruptcy. So it's not a bankruptcy, it's a restructure but when you restructure, it kicks you out of your position and you are no longer the owner. So during this time, a lot of people lose their businesses. And I guess she had the opportunity to buy it back. She sold properties that she owned and several other things, and she apparently bought it back and became CEO again.
I mean, and one shout out to her for making that decision.
Hey Madison, hey Every, sorry.
Oh,
Say hi. We're on YouTube live over here too, people. So I just don't want to ignore everybody.
Yeah, my bad about that. What's up, everybody?
We're talking about Arif is asking, what are we talking about? We're talking about currently the situation that Pinky Cole is going through.
Yeah.
And how it relates to other businesses, how it relates to my business, Good Ass Burgers, which we are similar to what she does. We are a vegan burger restaurant. And so we just want to discuss what has happened in recent media.
Hey, matter of fact, before we even go further, because I think it's a great opening of discussion of what we just sit here and open the door with. But for the ones that don't know who we are, right? We're going to introduce who we are right now and why we are in the position to talk about what we're talking about right now. So if you want to see go first, let me know who you are and some of your accolades.
Well, I wasn't really prepared for that, but my name is Talia Jones. I am the co-owner and head of marketing for Good Ass Burgers. I also own a nonprofit called You Got a Friend in Me, and I'm also an author because this is something I always wanted to do, which is a poetry book called Private Parts. And I have other accolades, but I feel like I could go on and on, so I'm not gonna bore you guys with everything. But that's the gist of it. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You can find me at Press Play Jones is my personal page, and the business page is Good Ass Burgers, and that's AS, not the other part.
Absolutely. And for the ones that don't know who I am, my name is Thurman Jones, aka Rolling Jones, and I am the founder and CEO of Being You To Go. Being You To Go is an online platform that allows brick and mortar businesses to get more foot traffic, create another income by booking out these spaces. And we don't allow killer spaces. So that's who I am, and I'm also the author of the fastest way to start your business. So if you're interested about starting a business in 2025, which is probably the best time you ever do it, go to ebookforbusiness.com, and you'll be able to get that book. And definitely you won't go the longest way like I did. You go through the fastest way, because I put all the information that took me a long time in that book. But that's why we deserve to sit here and talk about that. I had the pleasure to work with a lot of different businesses, restaurants, coffee shop, retail, churches. The list goes on because of the industry that I'm in. So it's pretty interesting to hear what has happened along the line. And shout out to Pinky for being transparent as she is. Didn't have to do this. I think this is actually a learning moment for everybody that's listening, and also to give some point of views of what we can do or what you can do, or how we see what wrong or different things that you can do to make it better. So I would start off and kind of piggybacking off what you was talking about. Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting to hear what happened. The first thing that came to mind for me, I think about having a good process and a good system. The one thing about growing fast, like I remember doing the beta test for Vegan, and it wasn't like crazy fast. We didn't push it. We literally had control. We only weren't a certain amount of businesses on there. But I could tell having people from Texas creating profiles and people that you don't know and things happening. Then you gotta ask yourself, like, how do you how do you transition the money? How do you transfer the money? What happens when somebody wants to? I remember somebody tried to refund their money after they did an event. After they did an event.
Wait.
Crazy.
How did they try to
With
refund
Stripe.
their money after the transaction took
After the
place?
transaction went through, they try to go to Stripe and refund their money. Stripe notified me. I'm like, no. They sent me their ID. This is all the I took screenshots of the whole process. So and that went out the window and they wasn't able to do it, and I was able to put them on ban for not doing it to go again. But those are some of the things that you just don't think about. And imagine if a whole bunch of that started to happen. The question that you got to ask yourself, is there a good process in place? Is there a good system in place? And every time I think about systems, my analogy of systems is save yourself some time, energy, and money. And the one thing I feel like that probably didn't happen based on the conversation, there wasn't a good system in place. It sounded like the operation was like 100 miles and running, right? Marketing was she was in front of everybody, making sure everybody knew the brand. So marketing and brand was huge, but the business itself wasn't in the place scaled like it did because also being in a position now, man, I was able to sit here and do a lot of KPIs, NPRs, and data analytics to understand. Looking at your numbers, how do you make sure that is being articulated across the system? And you know, when you have 14 stores, what all of those stores are doing? What's the profit and loss statements? Do you know how much money those stores are making? How can you take some of that energy from the other stores and put it into the other ones that need the focus? It felt like it got away from her. Right? It felt like it got away from her to a point where she realized that it was too far. It was too far along.
That's possible. And I do think the operations and what system she had in place did fail itself, because at one point, she had restaurants run. Oh, Pinky's doing this. Oh, she got this restaurant here, this restaurant there. Oh, she just opened a bar vegan. It was a bunch of like stuff moving very, very, very fast. And I'm not gonna say she didn't know what her profits were, or what wasn't running well, or what locations weren't doing well. I, in my personal opinion, and from previous experience, know that, okay, especially when you're creative, because I could tell she's a creative, right? Because she likes to be in front of the camera. She did some kind of like podcast or whatever kind of show where she was trying to help entrepreneurs. Like, she's a creative.
Right.
And sometimes creatives think they can do more than what they can do without handling the bottom line. And I mean, for me and Mr. Gabs are creatives, and he's more so of a creative than I. And even us, it's like having a business. There are models and there are examples of how your operations should go. But listening to the guy you told me to listen to the other day,
Zero
to one.
Yeah.
And he was just like, there is no perfect system. Like, you gotta learn as you go. There's no like blueprint of what yours should be like. Right? So you have it's all a learning process. You can get a master's degree, a doctorate, or whatever. Somebody can give you all the advice in the world, but Chick-fil-A system's totally different from Burger King system, from McDonald's system. They're all different systems. Even though it might have the same base, they had to figure out what formula works for them, right? So,
and that's
with that being said, Huh?
Peter
Peter
Thiel.
Thiel.
Yes. Peter Thiel, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he made some great points. So if you have time, you guys should check out his videos. But like I said, I'm not sure. I know the operations failed somewhere,
Oh,
but Jones, I think I lost you. Jones.
we disappeared over here.
Yeah, what happened? What happened? Technical
Oh my
difficulties. Here we
God.
go.
I forgot to plug up the computer.
I can't hear you.
Huh?
Okay, well, look, are we switching over here?
Yeah, we're switching over here until the computer come back on, because we're gonna get that back going.
Okay. I like how I look better on Zoom.
Oh yeah, the Zoom was killing.
I like my face is glowing on here.
You silly.
Hold on. I also want to like blur my background real quick. So is that
Oh
possible?
my God, how did I do that?
No, I don't want that. I know I don't want that either. Okay, I'm glad we ain't got too many people watching because I'm
Huh?
messing up right now. I was trying to blur my background, but it's definitely not working. So I don't want a green screen.
Hold on, we coming back up over here.
Okay.
Dang, that was such a. Here we go. Let's go back.
Are you gonna edit this?
Huh?
You gonna edit it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 1,000%. I'm definitely gonna edit that.
Well, guess what, guys? Venue to Go. Is that what this YouTube is under? Venue to Go?
It's on the Rolling with Jones.
Oh, okay, sorry. Rolling with Jones. We got a new subscriber. Arif Killing.
I'm
Thank
talking
you.
about. Appreciate that.
We appreciate you subscribing.
That's love. That's love.
That's love.
Okay, back to
Back to
business
business
over
over here.
So let's see.
Oh yeah, you gotta
You gotta fix that.
The little
Is
goat.
that better?
Yep.
Yep.
Ooh, hold on,
Y'all rocking with me real quick.
Okay,
Hold on.
Should we have like elevator music in the back?
We should. I could put
it in there.
You know, for when things get a little too boring, they can still have something to kind of
Bounce here.
I think I left off talking about because I think you said that her operations or her systems weren't intact and that she might not have known or was following these, you know, the revenue streams of each location.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily sure she was not, because that would just be kind of crazy not to follow the revenue streams.
I mean, I think
you might got a surface level,
but
I don't think you knew the detail.
You know, like
when
say for instance,
you think you're making profit,
but you
still gotta pay.
Oh, so like the costs and all that.
I think that caught up. You know what I mean? Because
whoever her finance or
that's why I
her accountant
the team
was failed her miserably.
They failed.
But I also think maybe they didn't, and then she knew, and then other locations weren't operating well. And instead of cutting her losses, she took the ones that were operating well and tried to cover the ones that weren't operating well. And every business, if you have multiple locations, I mean, one's gonna do better than the other. One might not do well. I forgot who said this, but it was some successful CEO. He was like, don't try to take care of if one business is failing, let it fail. Like, don't try to take this location and save this location because it's a cancer and cancer spreads. So, like, let it go before it spread through the whole company. So maybe she tried to hold on to some things to save face because at this point now she's a celebrity, right?
Right.
And anything that happens looks bad on her, right?
Yeah.
And I keep hearing my voice in the echo. Sorry.
Yeah, I understand.
So anything that comes out in the media would look bad on her. It's not like she was the typical CEO that nobody really knew, you know. Like how many people can name, you know, the CEO
Damn,
currently behind McDonald's?
YouTube.
Huh?
No,
I'm with you.
Okay. How many people can name the CEO behind McDonald's right now, currently? How many people can name the CEO behind Nike right now? You don't really know who they are, do
Well,
you?
he's kind
He's
of
kind of
popular.
popular right now.
What's his name?
I
I
put like
feel like
this.
this. I can describe him.
But
he's the first
I say,
CEO.
who's the CEO of Slutty Vegan?
Pinky Cole, but I'm
Pinky
saying
Cole,
the
but
guy.
Because you know it offhand.
I'm just saying
The only reason
I know about the guy from Nike.
Nike,
He got a
he got a
very
very interesting story.
He started
off as the intern with Nike
and
and ended up being the CEO.
But you follow businesses. I'm talking about an average person. Do they know who the CEO of Nike is right now?
Heck no.
Heck no.
Do you know who the CEO of Under Armour is right now?
Elliot Hill.
Hey, did you just Google that? Yeah,
Did you
definitely did. I saw your eyes look over at something. It was definitely not.
Is there
any witnesses?
Come on now. Come on. Let's be truthful on this live.
It was
bothering me though. It was bothering me. I'm sorry.
Anyways, look, he can't be wrong, guys. He can't be wrong.
No, but you're saying the right thing because honestly, she took this
the Steve Jobs method,
right?
Steve
Jobs was
exactly
that.
He knew how to
But it took a while before people knew Steve Jobs. Like
the internet
wasn't what it was either.
So
it definitely wasn't. So you can't really compare the two.
Okay, right.
You can't really compare the two. Elon Musk is doing a heck of a job.
Like LeBron and Michael.
Just like
same thing.
Same thing.
So I'm just saying. So it depends on how you look at the situation.
There's no
wrong way to go about it. But I do think that you need to make sure that you find out your who's.
You can't
only be the only one thinking that you're steering the ship.
Mm-hmm.
You're steering the ship in a way that it's supposed to go. I use this analogy a lot. So, you're going to hear a lot of analogies from me.
So one
of my analogies I like to say, imagine you're about to make some bread, right? And
name
some talking about money or
no, like real
bread. Name some ingredients for some bread.
You can tell
she hood, yo.
Wheat.
All right, what else?
Name all the ingredients for our bread.
Flour, gluten. I don't know.
Flour, water.
Butter,
oil.
All of that.
Right? So imagine it takes all of that to make bread. In the sense of what Pinky was doing and what some of the entrepreneurs we do as well, we might really be in really pure flour.
Right?
Okay.
Like do we the best flour possible. But you can't make bread with no flour by itself. You know the interesting about the ingredients of making bread? If you take one of those ingredients away from the bread, you know what you made? A mess. You paid for a mess. That's exactly what you paid. Because you decided not to have all the ingredients for the bread. So at the end of the day...
Wait. Business building resume is on here saying it's a bad echo, just FYI. So I think I might have to exit out of here. So do you want
Bluetooth on?
Yeah. Are you sure?
I'm positive.
positive.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. I'm going to mute it. Can you tell us if it's still an echo?
All right, let's talk now. Can you
All
hear
right.
anything?
Can you hear anything? Are we echoing? Echoing.
It's still an echo.
There's no response yet.
No response.
Oh,
I don't want to keep going.
what did she say?
No echo.
Oh, cool. See, it worked.
Okay, it's on. It's on. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Preach.
Like basically this whole thing on live is probably sounds terrible.
But not on here, so that's all that matters. No disrespect to y'all, but we appreciate y'all.
Okay, I just wanna I put it on mute. Can you still hear me on his side? Just say yes or no.
See, this is your elevator music that you was asking for right
I
here.
told you. You should have elevator music in the background.
Yeah, we might have to sit here and put that in play.
Okay.
Not really.
You said not really.
Oh, they can't hear you? I'll turn you up. It's cool. So yeah, I got you turned up. So you should hear it now.
Can't hear you now. Nope.
It's all good. We're gonna make it work.
Okay, so they just gonna look at me.
Nah. They say, okay, better. See, I got you. So we in.
Okay. All right. Professional over here.
Hey, something like it. So at the end of the day, going back to the conversation of what we was talking about, I really think that's exactly what was going on. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, now I'm talking to you as an entrepreneur. If you're listening to this right now, this is for you. You got to be able to figure out who you are in the recipe of making bread. Are you the water? Are you the butter? Are you the oil? Are you the flour? Because at the end of the day, you got to be able to identify the other people that needs to be around you to make the bread, because that's the overall goal, right? It's not to sit here and say that you won't make it to the oven. See, a lot of people, they're scared to be able to get to that next step. You can make it to the oven as some flour, but what would it look like you put flour in the oven without water? Nasty.
A
mess. I
was
was about to say that, you beat me to the punch, but it'll look just like a mess. So at the end of the day, you got to be able to identify. So the first thing that she said that she did do, she said she dispersed off all of the C-suite people. And I think that's probably the right thing to do, because if I put my trust in you to be able to get the numbers and be able to communicate with me what I need to do in business, what I need to do on the next move, well, if you can't do that, ain't no point to have two things of flour when we ain't got no water or butter. So sometimes you got to be able to understand who you are. And I think as a lot of times as entrepreneurs, they don't go through that place of figuring out who they are until it's time for them to figure out who they are. And I think right now she had a good mirror moment, mirror on the wall. Who's the prettiest of them all? She had that moment. She had that moment to be able to sit here and look at who she is, because I don't think she had a clear understanding of who she is. But right now, I'm guaranteed that she have a better understanding who she is and who she need to be, who need to have around her.
So why do you think she has a better understanding now?
Because
I mean, besides for this hit.
Imagine, okay, Talia, imagine you went to an event, right? You went to an event and you was rushing all day. You had a lot of stuff going on and you forgot to brush your teeth. But you just didn't know, because you can't smell your own breath sometimes. And then you go to an event and there's somebody whispering in your ear and be like, yo, I got some gum. Your breath is humming. And you're like, oh, my breath stink? Tell me at that moment right there, you wouldn't understand that your breath stinks.
First of all, that would never happen. Ever. Just letting you know.
This is an analogy.
In all the years of my life, this never happened to you. Jones, has this happened to you?
No, this haven't happened to me at all.
I mean, obviously, it would be very embarrassing if a stranger came up to you and basically offered you gum because your breath was kicking.
It'd be real.
So you saying, I'm trying to follow you here.
So right now, somebody told her that her breath is kicking.
Never ever. So even
Tristan
business
said
still
never ever.
resonates. She's on my side. Never ever. Ever ever.
It was an analogy, y'all. But I'm just saying. But at right now, somebody told her that her breath is humming.
Okay. And not in a good way.
And not in a good way.
So,
and guess what they offered her? They offered her some gum or some toothpaste.
Yeah.
In a business sense, they offered to take her business.
Yeah.
She knows who she is now. And she knows she have a better understanding to know what water look like. And she need to go find out.
Clean up all the germs she created.
Facts. She knows that.
Okay. I gotta get off this analogy. It's killing me right now.
But it makes sense though. For somebody out there, you know it makes sense though. It makes total sense.
Okay, so this is not something that's uncommon though, right? I do appreciate that she came out and spoke about it. Part of me feel like she really didn't have a choice but to speak about it. One, because her brand is her face, you know. Like she said in the interview that I guess buying her back, she didn't say it was easy, but buying it back wasn't too difficult because either way, Pinky Cole had to come with the business because she created it to where, like, when you think slutty vegan, you think her.
Right.
You know, vice versa. So,
Steve Jobs.
which is not a bad place to be. Like, it's like having, like, Ronald McDonald not being a part of McDonald's. Like, you know.
I mean, he's no longer a part of McDonald's.
That's a big analogy, right? This big, you know, but still. I mean, don't get it mistaken.
All the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas like Ronald McDonald.
Anybody and everybody can be replaced.
Right.
I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the Gucci story. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Really good.
Me and Trisha, we definitely watched it.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But it ended kind of messed up, and it could have ended that way for her. So luckily it didn't. Gucci built this huge brand, and now it belongs in the hands of a bunch of private equity people.
Yep.
You know, not one person in that family is getting a percentage of Gucci.
Right.
Which is
crazy.
Sad. And how it played out was pretty rough.
Yep.
So if you look at a restructure and you want to know kind of what a restructure is, that's the perfect example because they didn't do their business correct and they acquired so much debt that they had to rely on somebody to pay it off. And
yeah.
I don't care what anybody say, and we try to get away from the B word, but it just sounds like bankruptcy. It does. I mean,
but bankruptcy comes with a different rule.
It's different, but if you're trying to
explain
it to the average person,
right?
It sounds like bankruptcy. I'm just being honest.
Hold on,
like,
let's look it up.
It's a business bankruptcy.
Hold on. Hold on. Let me look. Let's look. I'm about to look it up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm curious to know the difference.
He's a dictionary guy.
Hey, man, you know I got to know. You know I got to know.
You got an almanac in there, too?
The haters. All right, so a bankruptcy, a legal process where a business or a person declares they can't pay their debt. Chapter 7, liquidation, And chapter 11, reorganization.
Sounds like a restructure.
A restructure. A restructure. A business voluntarily reorganizes.
Oh, wait, you break it up. I can't. Come back.
Okay.
It's breaking up. Okay.
All right, am I back?
Yeah.
All right. A restructuring. A business voluntarily reorganizes its operation, debts, or structure to improve financial stability. So it didn't get to the point where legally they took it.
So because it doesn't have the word legally in it, because you're
So
going to.
I quit before you fired me. Okay? That's what I did.
Whatever. That's still, you still don't have a job. Okay? I don't care what you say.
She bought it back.
Okay, because it does not have the legal word in it.
Yep.
And it's because you're going through a
turmoil,
investor of sense or a private equity person, that you're not necessarily going through the lawyer and courts and all of that stuff. That's why it's not considered a bankruptcy. But I don't care. It's a bankruptcy. Like it's basically what it is. And like it's the same definition without the term legal.
Oh, here go a good analogy where it says bankruptcy is when your business is in ICU and the court becomes your doctor. Restructuring is when you hit the gym to get your business healthy before it collapses. So she caught it in time before it absolutely collapsed.
Okay. Understood.
Yep.
And it still sounds like a bankruptcy.
I mean,
okay. Basically, you have too much debt and you need someone to help you.
Right.
Because you did something wrong.
Yep. And from what it sounds like the wrong was...
Most businesses go through some sort of restructure.
Right.
At some point, especially like restaurants, their shelf life is what, 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
Like so many people
2 to 3 years.
It's a scary business to be in, and it's very risky for a investor, right?
Yeah.
So you have to prove the fact that she got an investor to give her that amount of money for a mom and pop shop. At that time, it was a mom and pop shop. And I'm going to get back because I still feel like she ran every business like a mom and pop shop, and this is why we're here discussing it, right?
Yeah, but you know what? At the same time, those are the lessons to be learned, right? And I think it's good for other people to be able to see, because now, what does it look like to be able to run your business like a business? What does it look like to be able to take it from the mom and pop shop to make it into a franchise? What does that look like? What does that need to take?
It wasn't franchise at that point. Maybe that's what she should have did.
Right. Absolutely.
But like I said, it was a mom and pop shop without mama being in there.
Right.
In every location. So, I think from personal experience with our restaurant, like coming from the different backgrounds, we didn't come from a restaurant background. That's not where, Mr. Gabbs came from a music background, and I did music and sports and aviation, everything. So,
right.
But restauranting was not one of them. So when we got into it and it started taking off and booming because veganism was the wave, because timing was perfect, you start feeling yourself. You feel untouchable. And I feel like she felt untouchable for a while. She had a long run of feeling untouchable, but then your eyes aren't open to everything. Because at that time, when you're doing well and everyone's, they're successful, so everybody's coming at you. everybody's trying to sell you products. Everybody, then you start accumulating more and more and more and more and more debt.
Yep.
Because you're like, I need that.
So your profits is not really profits.
And I wanna be innovative, so I need that too.
Right.
And then all those subscriptions and all those people taking out percentages of sales start adding up, and you're like, okay, well, I'm making millions of dollars in revenue, but I'm also giving out millions of dollars in overhead and other
subscriptions,
small costs. Subscriptions add up.
Yeah, they be killing. So if y'all get
those
nothing from this,
fine detail.
get away from subscriptions.
Get away from subscriptions.
Get away from subscriptions.
I got some subscriptions.
Me too. We need to purge. We need to purge every subscription for sure.
Like that subscription thing. Look, if you have a business, create a subscription.
Facts.
If you're not a business, do not get a subscription.
Preach, preacher. But now,
it will blow your money.
But now, also real. That is, But let's take it back to the book, 0 to 1. Another thing that Peter Thiel was talking about that I thought was awesome. Put yourself in a situation where you can have competition, right? Competition is good to have because what it does, it allows you to be vulnerable to know where you really are at. When you feel like you are the only person that's sitting at the table, you start to make those mistakes. You won't start to be lean, because lean, listen, work your business as lean as possible until you can't work it no more. Lean. And the only reason why because the time when you go through that 1 month that's not as great as the month before that, you're going to be wishing that you had subsidized the way that your income is coming in, or your saving, your little piggy bank in the back to make sure that it's holding up for that 1 month that's not coming in. So keeping it lean, because one of the biggest costs, and as you will know, Talia, and this is me working with other businesses that I've seen, one of the biggest costs is people. People are the biggest cost. And especially so if you're going to pay for somebody, if you're going to keep it lean, I suggest that you pay top dollar for the best person, so you don't have to pay for a lot of people that's average.
All right, let's talk about people and hiring and
yep.
And all this I know firsthand. Okay.
Yep.
When you are this is another part of her problem, I feel like. And when you're growing and you're anticipating growth, you start being like, okay, I need more people. Like, I don't want to get behind, and I got to compete with the people that are with the other restaurants out there, because I got to pay more, or not at least equal or more, because I'm not as established of a brand as theirs to get people to work with me. Or I gotta make it cool to work for me, right?
Yeah.
You have to figure out an angle for people, because like in the restaurant industry, I mean, especially like ours, burgers and fries, and not cooked to order. We're not fast food, but it's cooked to order, but it's still burgers and fries, right? So you're gonna get younger people that need a job, summer job, or you're not gonna get somebody that is gonna make a lifestyle career out of this. That's rare, but you offer things and you try to pull in those people and create avenues for them to make more money, or to be able to eventually franchise your business, to be able to stay on and say you can grow here, right? But when you're growing, then you start trying to compete with these other restaurants, but you're not really making that other restaurant money. But you got that number of employees, so now you're giving this person a salary, you paying this person this much an hour, this person, and you gotta like
that P&L sheet ain't looking good.
It becomes overwhelming, and then the turnaround of employees in this industry. So like they're dropping off like flies. Then you got to train somebody else just to drop off like flies, you know? So that part's very difficult. And I know she probably spent a lot of money. And even locations like Columbus, they say it never opened. You know, she probably they probably try to pre-hire, because you don't sit there and build a whole building and get a whole business and don't have no employees to work it. You know what I'm saying? Right. So now you're pre-anticipating something to be successful, and when they're not successful, and then you go on for a year and it hasn't made money, that's a lot of debt. And she said it costs per location around $865,000. I don't know why. She could have found a cheaper route, but $865,000 per location is outrageous.
Yeah, that's great.
And when she was given a $25 million investment, everybody's, oh, that's a lot of money. No, I mean it is, but not when you're trying to make 16 restaurants. It's not a lot of money.
Do the math.
So, you know, you got to think about like, okay, they want me to grow this fast. I gotta have this X amount of employees. I gotta, you know, get all this equipment. I gotta it's and then different states, they have their own laws and rules. So you gotta figure out that, like, you know, she's born or whatever, raised in Maryland,
Baltimore,
so she might know, and then pretty much Atlanta. So you know those states. I feel like you could have grew regionally versus trying to like move so fast. I think the biggest thing was she moved too fast.
Yeah.
And she was trying to do too much. Like, unless you hired a CEO to take over, a good CEO, and then you could go do what you want to do. But you can't be CEO and go do what you want to do. It's a job. You know, you still got to play your job, and being a CEO of a company is not easy.
You have business acumen.
You know, you can't be over there creating entrepreneurship platforms and try to give entrepreneurs a platform, which is fine. But like now you done spent all this. Well, I don't know if she spent it, maybe somebody else did, but the production of that and all of that money, like, because you're creative and you want to do creative stuff and more than just restaurants, because it's not an easy field of work.
Right.
It's very, you know, you got to get in the trenches. You got to. It's just hard, you know. And sometimes it's tedious, it's long hours, it's not always rewarding.
No pats on the back.
You know, and like she said, like you do not see the blood, sweat, and tears you put into it. Yeah, and that's the bad thing about the social media age, is because they expect greatness all the time. And that's just not what it is. Like, life isn't that way. I don't care if you get out of 9 to 5 or you building a business. Life is not all peaches and cream. So when it hit the fan, then they dogging you, you know, and it's not right. But that's the social media age you live in. So you kind of gotta ignore the dummies out there that never even built the business.
Yep. And wouldn't even start.
And then plus, like business building resume said she had 2 kids. I know, I got 2 kids too, and you got 3. So,
she had 3.
Oh, she had 3 kids. Yeah, she had 3 kids. I forgot about
all
that.
back to back.
Yeah. So like
that changes the dynamic. Like especially when you didn't come in the business with kids. When you started.
See, at this point, at being a CEO, you want to take a step back from being a mom. You need to really put somebody in place to make sure that. But
your heart's in it.
That's where advisors and stuff come into play.
I was just about to talk about it.
And somebody that really know what they're doing. And
can you give some advice
hey,
of what to look? Give some advice of what you would look for an advisor.
Well, I would have different advisors in all arenas where, like, somebody that has had success in the restaurant field, that someone that's financially, like, knows the financial side, like every aspect of someone that's over operations and have ran a great operations in their company. I would use them as an advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I would try to have an advisor for all facets of the business,
yep.
right? So if anything, like somebody can be like, hey, I know you want to sit back. I know you want to have it all. And nobody told you can't have it all.
Right.
But you have to realize, and I hate, and I try to stay away from this, but I have to say it. When it comes to Black business owners, we do not have the upper hand when it comes to that. We also don't have those people in place because a lot of times we are the first generation to make the success. So there's nobody to tell you how to do things. So there's nobody leading the way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like in other, I don't know. I'm trying to be politically correct without saying
no, I mean,
the wrong way. But
talk to the people right now because they need to hear it.
You don't have those people to guide you.
Yeah.
And I know I went to college with people that was fed a silver spoon or whatever, and they've been around people that would be like, okay, this is how you should, step 1, step 2, step 3. Don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do that. Don't ever let this happen. We didn't have that.
Right. So
because we didn't have that, we have to take more faults. And we have to take more stuff and figure it out. So, like, when we get successful, you better give me a round of applause because I definitely got this out of the bud.
Yep.
So I think that's one big thing. But we're also the hardest race on each other. So
fail one time, it's over. Can't fail around our people.
No, you can't.
You can't even be too successful around our people.
I mean, like, I go, somebody asks me for $5 on the street, and they be like, oh, you have business? Well, you should do such and such and such and such. That just pissing me off. Because I'm like,
thank you.
What have you done
to
give me advice?
Thank you so much.
Whatever. I'm not going to go too far. But, yeah, I think if she had, like, certain advisors and then not yes men behind her, they would be like, okay, well, if you're going to sit down and you're going to have these babies, I need you to put somebody in place for the next couple of years to make sure this runs smoothly because I don't care. You go postpartum, you got to raise these kids.
Yeah.
And for the first couple of years of their life, they're demanding you. And you're going to choose them because you're a mom.
I see that vein. I see that vein in your neck. Really.
Yeah, because you see that's real passion right there. So it's like that's the thing because you don't know
Help me.
How your body, how your mind is going to be affected. Like, you're literally out of the game mentally for years.
Yeah.
You have to relearn. When you said she had to learn herself again, yes, she did, because she went from this person that created a successful business, single, to married, for one. When you get into marriage, now you have to adapt to that other person. And then you have 3 kids. Now you got to adapt to these other 3 little people.
Yep. Right.
So nothing's about you ever again.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to you have to find yourself. And even you spend years finding yourself. Some people never find themselves. Some people spend years in postpartum. And you can't control that. So, like, an advisor could have told her, like, okay, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know your mental state, health, anything. Like, we need to make sure Slutty Vegan's taken care of.
I think you hit on some really, 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 really good points for sure. I mean, and I just want to say this. I hope the person that's listening to this
help me. Help me.
I think the person that's listening to this right now, I really hope that y'all really taking something out of this. As we gonna wrap this up, I do want to get some quick takeaways, and I'll tell you some of my takeaways from this learning moment that we are speaking about with Pinky Cole. And once again, appreciate the vulnerability to allowing us to weigh in on our thoughts, but also having a learning moment for our audience and our Gavians and our vineyard goers. Really at this moment, really hoping that you take something. And I would say, have good relationships. I think the relationships is a significant part, because even when she was talking about the time when she had to go sell a piece of her land, somebody was willing to sit here and go do it just like that, knowing the circumstance, and to be able to have good relationships where you can get 25 to be evaluated at 1. So relationships are key. Another one, process, systems. I would say systems again. If you don't learn anything, system stands for save yourself some time, energy, and money. So I would say create good systems. And one of the last ones for sure, identify who you are. Identify and do all you can to figure out who you are, because it's important to be able to figure out who you are so you can figure out who you need to get. Because as we went through the analogy with bread, and all the ingredients that it takes to make bread, if you take one of those ingredients out, you will have a mess. You got to be able to identify who you are, because you are not the bread. You're either the oil, the flour, the butter, or the water. So you got to be able to identify that. So those are my takeaways.
Okay. Well, I concur. But what I want to say is, I appreciate this talk. Thank you for having me. I'm sure we're gonna do plenty more.
Yeah.
He's been on my butt about doing these videos.
It wasn't bad, right? Give her a round of applause, y'all.
It wasn't bad. Thank you. But I want to end it saying that I appreciate Pinky for setting the wave of vegan restauranting in Atlanta. And although, like, you might hear us be like, who got the better burger? At the same time, we on the same rim, and it's enough out there for everybody. She's also my soror, so I'm rooting her on, and I'm happy that she got her business back. And we can still have that burger off, though. We can definitely.
That'd be hard. That'd be hard.
But it's just friendly competition. But make sure you guys come out, eat with us. It's goodassburgers.com. Follow us on all social medias at Good Ass Burgers. My personal page is Press Play Jones, and I'm out of here.
For sure. And I gotta make sure I drop mine. Make sure y'all go to Rolling with Jones on all social media platforms, and go to Bing You to Go LLC on Instagram. You go to Bing You to Go on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever you need to go. But also make sure that you go to bingyoutogo.com if you're looking for that space to book for your next event, business, however you choose. Or you might be that business owner that's looking to be able to make some more money and get some more people in. Go to bingyoutogo.com. Once again, I want to say thank you for being behind the business, and we are out of here.
Thank you to all the people that's on YouTube Live.
For sure.
Appreciate you, and shout out to Business Building Resume.
On
if you
fire.
need help with your resume or anything, trying to get a job, make sure you check her out.
Businessbuildingresume.com. Please go check it out.
All right.
Recording stop.
Now I gotta go close this out. Peace, y'all.